Hello everyone. I am Alice of KHR Arts and Cloud Orchid Publishing, and today we are going to talk about a little bit of a hot button issue, which is the whole problem with Bookstagram and bookish accounts and all of those pay for review accounts. What does all of that mean? So, a big part of the writing community, specifically on Instagram, there's a lot of it on Twitter, but it's mainly on Instagram, are these accounts and communities called either Bookstagrammers or bookish accounts. What this means is 90% of them are people who just really enjoy reading books, which is great for us authors because we need avenues to be able to connect with our readers and our potential readers so that we can continue to sell our books and to get our books into the right hands. So these are a great resource. However, there is a small portion of these communities, and unfortunately it is that concept of the loud squeaky wheel is in the minority, but they make themselves sound like the majority and kind of ruin it for everybody else, are these Bookstagram and bookish accounts that send spam to authors asking for them to pay for reviews. Now, I know what you're thinking. Everybody gets their DMs flooded with spam. How is this any different? The reason why this is different is that as authors, the two biggest things that we depend on in order to sell our books is, number one, obviously, reaching our audience. That is big obstacle number one, is just reaching the readers. Big obstacle number two is getting people to actually review our books. Because unfortunately, we cannot escape that we live in a world that is driven by social media, whether we like it or not. And one of the big aspects of that as an author is that if people leave reviews for your books on websites like Amazon or Goodreads, that helps bump you up in the searches. So the more reviews you have, the more likely you are to be seen in searches, and again, the more likely you are to reach your beloved audience in order to sell more books. It's a very cyclical cycle. And unfortunately, there are people who prey on this. The pay for reviews people. Now, number one, a lot of these websites, especially Amazon, will ding you for these paid reviews, in that if they can prove that it is a review done by somebody who did not buy the product, they will take the review down. A lot of people aren't aware of this, or they think that they can circumvent it, and they get caught up in this whole, honestly, I'm going to call it a scam, because it really truly is a scam. It sucks. And all of a sudden you'll see a bunch of reviews just disappear overnight because of this. And how do they prove that they didn't buy the book? Is that there's no record of them actually buying the book, that their account never purchased said book. And that's problem number one with these bookish pay to review people, is the first thing they ask is for you as the author to send them a free copy of your book. That's problem number one. And the reason for that is, unless you're a big time whoop-de-doo person like Stephen King, handing out free books is not something that most authors can really afford to do. If an author gives you a free book, consider it a very precious gift. Books are expensive. Our profit margins for our books are very small, especially if they are traditionally published, and that means that we have to share that profit margin with the publishing company. We really don't make a lot of money on the sale of each book. It's usually literally nickel and dimes, not even dollars. And even if it is dollars, it's like one or two. The profit margin is very itty bitty. So the fact that we are sacrificing that profit margin to give you a book for free is big. And to have random people on the internet asking you to send them a free copy of your book is insulting. It's honestly really insulting, because it's the same thing that a lot of restaurants are experiencing with influencers, is them showing up at restaurants and asking for free meals in exchange for exposure on their social media accounts. It sucks having to deal with people who basically want free things just because they have social media accounts. Think of it as bookish pay for review people are the influencers of the writing world. And again, not to be confused with the bookish and bookstagram community as a whole. They are great people, and most of them will do a lot to help promote authors and happily purchase our books and read them and talk about how much that they love them, and we love that community for it, because that is a huge part of what helps us sustain our businesses as authors and help us to continue being able to put more books out there for people to read. So very much yay them, very much not yay the scammer people, who unfortunately lump themselves into this same community, even though they are definitely not the same thing. So where does this pay to review thing come into play? It's they ask you for a free copy of your book and then tell you that on top of that, you have to pay them a fee. And some of them have a flat fee of, if you pay me X amount of money, I will read your book, and then I will go on Goodreads or Amazon or whatever internet thing they're offering, and they will write up a review of your book. Others have this whole payment, like giant paragraph that they'll send you, that they'll post it on their Instagram story, that they'll post it on their Facebook, that they'll make X amount of posts on these social media platforms, that they'll do reviews on X amount of websites, and that they'll do videos about it and blah blah blah, and that the more stuff that they do, obviously the bigger the fee gets. And some of you may be thinking to yourselves, that actually sounds like a great marketing plan, except for it's not. And the reason why is because, as I said, a lot of these websites like Goodreads and especially Amazon, if they find out that you didn't actually purchase the book and that this is a paid review where you literally paid them to say nice things about your book, they will take the reviews down and then put all the other reviews you do have into question on the validity of them, and you could risk losing even legitimate reviews that you have on your book, and that is super dangerous as an author, and it's not a game that you want to play. It also hurts because some of these reviewers, on top of that, claim that they want to give honest reviews of your book. So not even all of them, because even though you're paying them a fee, are not necessarily going to give you a 5-star review and then say lots of nice things about your book. Some of them will actually give less than 5 stars. Some I've even seen will even give you only 1 star and then write about everything they think is wrong with your book, which is just adding insult to injury, that you paid this person to review your book and then they're going to drag it on the internet. And why would anyone pay for that? And some of you may be thinking, well, if the story is bad, then they should be honest about it, right? Yes and no. Because let's think about this. If you're paying somebody to really review your book in the capacity that they advertise, they shouldn't be publicly dragging your book even if it is bad, because that's not the service that you're paying for. Again, this is very different from legitimate reviews. Now, there is an entirely different part of the industry where, yes, you do send free copies of your book to professional reviewers in order to give your book actual honest reviews, completely separate from these pay-to-play people. And the difference in that being is that they're not just these rando influencer people on social media. These are people who are actually in the publishing industry, usually literary agents, or there are even people who make an entire living of just professionally reviewing books, and that's what they do. So that is completely different than these pay-to-play people, because these people have actual professional credibility and their words actually have weight in the writing world, as well as their reviews are considered credible by all websites. So you can put their reviews on your personal website, you can put it on Amazon, you can even put it on your book. As many of y'all have probably seen with New York Times bestseller books, it'll say it's been reviewed by so-and-so and they said blah, blah, blah about it and all that. Those are professional book reviewers. Those are the kind of people I'm talking about who actually have weight and merit in the writing world. These randos on Instagram don't have that, not by a long shot. And that's what's also frustrating about this, is because there are so many new authors that aren't aware of the difference, and they get sucked into these scams, paying these people and giving away precious free copies of their books for these people to review. And while, yes, a percentage of these people are people who have converted from the Bookstagram and bookish community, who are just average people who really enjoy reading books and they see a way to make a quick buck, the large majority of these people are, again, unfortunately, people from call center-esque type organizations where typically English is not their first language, and they're looking to just squeeze a buck from an unsuspecting person, and they typically write something super generic, usually, 2 to 3 word sentences, or even just posting good as a review. And while, yes, those reviews count, and that is a big thing that a lot of authors will tell you, is that they're like, oh my god, please review my book. Even if you just put however many stars you want to put and you literally just put good, that still counts, and that still helps bump your book up in the searches. It still counts as a review. You can literally just be that lazy and just put good or I liked it. You can be as basic as you want, and that's okay. But again, we're paying for a service here. And if that's all they're giving you is just good, or some broken English sentence that doesn't make any sense, or it's obviously some copy and pasted generic thing that has nothing to do with your book, it really sticks out like a sore thumb. And if you go to an author's page on Amazon and you see that all of the reviews for their books look like that, it's going to make potential readers very suspicious, and they're probably not going to pick up your book because they're going to think that all of the reviews are fake, and therefore your book is no good because you have to literally pay people to say that your book is good, and that's just not a good look, y'all. Last but not least, the whole hurt feelings aspect of it is that as creatives, authors are really given the least amount of recognition, and by proxy, we really don't make a lot of money. Apart from big names like Stephen King, who literally hit the lottery in the publishing world, that is the 1% echelon of the writing world. Most authors have to have a day job, or if they don't, they're literally living the starving artist lifestyle. I mean, that be me right now. Living starving artist la vida loca, okay? We are not making a lot of money. In fact, most of the time we're losing money. The amount of money that we have to put as upfront cost for doing conventions, and if we're self-publishing, all of the cost with churning out those books and doing all of that editing and hiring people ourselves, that is a huge amount of upfront money that we have to pour into our craft. And to have someone to come along and demand a free copy of our book and fees on top of it, that's some hurt feelings right there. Nobody likes opening their DMs and finding that in there. And the fact that it's just such an overwhelming amount that you'll find in your DMs as an author is what really, really sucks. Is that you'll find like anywhere from like 5 to 10 of them in a row is what really, really sucks. And I would say if I were to have a direct message to these people, it's not going to be a mean message necessarily, because I understand it that, you know what, everybody is trying to hustle and make a buck these days, and I can appreciate that. But the main thing is that a lot of these people, especially even the readers in the actual legit bookish and Bookstagram communities, don't realize is that being an author is really hard and it's really expensive, and most of us are poor. So when y'all ask us for free copies of our books or ask for discounted copies of our books, it really hurts. So please stop doing that. Unless you're somebody who has actual legit credentials in the publishing world and your reviews can actually bring us legitimate audience and legitimate sales, please stop doing that, because it's really rude. Honestly, it's really rude, and we're really fed up with finding these in our DMs. And I feel really bad for the newer authors that do fall for this scam, because that's exactly what it is a scam. I myself actually did one of these early on when I published Love of the Sea. And here's the thing, is I knew that it was probably a scam. And I did it because the fee was very small. and because at the time I had bought a bunch of my wholesale books in bulk. So yes, I was losing money, but thankfully the margin for it was a lot lower. And it was, I literally wanted to see on that very small percentage of off chance that it could actually be helpful for me. And if it could be helpful, how helpful was it? Analyzing the whole, benefit and cost sort of thing here. I wanted to just see for myself, because that's a big thing I believe in is, y'all, if I'm going to have an opinion on something, it's because I have actual personal experience and personal research to back that up. So everything that I tell y'all on this vlog is stuff that I personally know, or a person that I trust is extremely knowledgeable and knows. So I'm not just talking out of my butt here. These are things that I know on a very deep personal level. So I can assure y'all that this information is as accurate and knowledgeable as I am possibly capable of providing. So yes, I did this process to see what exactly happens when you do this. And while yes, she was very nice, and she was a legitimate person who just really enjoys reading books and wasn't one of those call center type people. And yes, she made some very lovely posts about my book. At the same time, it didn't bring me any sales. It didn't bring me any new readers. And the slap in the face, she did not give me a very nice review, which I really did not appreciate. And a big part of it, I just really suspect that she was just not a high fantasy type person. And I think that that really bled into her expectations of the book based on a lot of the other types of books that she had reviewed in the past. So, of course, wounded pride. Nobody likes that. And I was out all of $15 and a copy of my book. Not exactly the worst thing, but it was definitely a lesson learned. So take it from me. Don't fall for these scammers that go into your DMs asking for free things and fees on top of it, because you're going to have a bad time. I hope this video has been helpful. And again, please, 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 please do not go out and attack the Bookstagram or Bookish community, because that is not what this video is about. They are delightful, helpful people who do help spread the word of authors and share our stories. We're talking about a very small minority that utilizes that community for their own purposes. So, two completely separate things. Please don't go out there harassing any of these nice people. Little disclaimer for y'all. So I hope y'all found this video helpful. Thank y'all so much for watching. If you like this video, please do give it a like. And if you're new, subscribe. Alright, y'all, I will see y'all next time. Thank you so much for watching. Take care. Bye-bye.